Hi there, welcome to another episode of UK Edu Stories. Tonight with myself and Zena Zenanos Walker. Big shout out to everybody joining us on the show this evening, and both of us sending all of our love to Bookie Youssef, who is making a strong recovery from contracting COVID. We're really pleased. I don't think she'll mind me mentioning it, seeing as she mentioned it in a blog post she wrote about her experiences. She sent me a WhatsApp message back when she was really poorly, and it was just terrible. I've not heard anybody so raspy and short of breath as before, really, apart from my own father, who had a condition called pulmonary fibrosis, and that unfortunately, was just a few days before he died. I've not heard any. I was so worried about Bookie, but I got to have a few WhatsApp audio messages backwards and forwards the other day, and I'm pleased to say she sounded even more sort of upbeat than she even normally is. So great to hear Bookie is well on the road to recovery, and looking forward to her coming and working back on the show with us again in the very near future. But thank you again, Zena. I mean, I've been saying lots of thanks to you behind the scenes, but I'll say my public thanks to you as well. It's been great working with you, and I'm hoping we can do more and more of this together too. I want to ask you, Zena, how has your week been? How are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm really good. It's been a bit of a crazy week at work. I've had a bit of this underlying headache all week, really, and I had a COVID test today, so that came back negative. Fingers crossed, it's not one of those negative, whichever one it is. But I had quite a few messages from people yesterday saying, "You've had this headache for a week now. You need to just go and see if it's COVID." So it was one of those rapid tests I had today, and half an hour later, got a text message saying, "Don't worry, you're negative." Yeah, so other than that, loving my new job. Everything's really good. Yeah.
Super duper. Well, tonight's show, and things have been a little bit, with Bookie being poorly, things have been a little bit different getting things sorted for the show during this time. I've started a new job as well, which many of you will probably know. But the aim of UK Edu Stories is to provide a portal, an opportunity for people to come on the show and learn and share and all these sort of things. And every now and then we actually, because of the collective power of the network and all these things and the work that we do, we have the opportunity to provide a bit of sort of free CPD as well. So this evening, we're going to have a little exploration about how we can successfully use Twitter as educators. Now, many of you will be actually on Twitter now, actually watching via Periscope on Twitter. Some of you will be YouTube watchers. I can see there's people watching because the numbers in the corner tell me that we've got people watching. But please do use the chat box on the side and say hello. One of the key things with using Twitter as a teacher is to actually try and foster some engagement. And sometimes it's not just about saying like I need help with my year 10 drama class or whatever it is. Can anybody help me? If you haven't got many followers, if you're not engaging with a professional learning network, all these different things, it goes a bit to that old adage about if a tree falls over in a forest and there's nobody there to hear it, it doesn't make a sound. And of course, if you're not making a bit of a clamour, then nobody will know that you're actually there. So I'm going to go through lots of different things this evening. And if you're a more seasoned Twitter user, then I hope you pick up a few hints and tips. If it's brand new to you, then excuse me, then please just hopefully it won't be too much for you to take on board. But the beauty of this is you can always go back to YouTube and give it a bit of a rewind. And I feel like a bit of a DJ then, give it a rewind. And you can watch it back again and pause it and try the different things out and all the rest of it. So that's what we're aiming for tonight. Zena is going to manage the chats. Hi, Miss M, welcome, and thank you for joining us. Zena's going to run everything and let me know when things aren't when the presentations and things stopped sharing and all of that, and is going to ask me all the questions that you can have. If you've got any questions during the show this evening as well, please do share them. How did you do that, Mark? Can you show that again? All those sorts of things. Very happy to run stuff through with you. Big shout out to the Ninja as well, Nina Jackson, joining us. Hi. and it is tip-top tidy. And actually, I have created, as part of the demonstration this evening, a brand spanking, fresh out of the box, new Twitter account this evening, just to use for demonstration purposes, although I might carry on using it because I do quite like the name of the account that I've created, which is not tip-top tidy, it's nearly there. It's tip-top tips edu. So if you want to get engaged and tweet a bit about account this evening, please do tweet at tip-top tips edu, and tweet the account, and I'll better reply to you from that account, and we can see how engagement might look like on your account if you're not so used to engaging and tweeting and using hashtags and tagging and all these different types of things. So thank you, Zena. You popped the name of the account into the chat as well. Super. So are we ready, Zena, do you think?
Yeah, go for it. I'm excited about this one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, me too.
When I came back to Twitter, I kind of learned a lot from following people like you and quite a few other people. So learning all the time from Twitter is quite important for me. So looking forward to this. Go.
Brilliant, thank you. So I'll share my screen, and I'll go for the entire screen option, and that should now ping through like a crazy thing in the middle of nowhere. And I'm just going to jump now into a little presentation. So as I said, this week's show is a special sort of free session with me sharing with you about how to use the platform to connect, share, and learn from and with others. Before we do that, though, I want to sort of, with my teacher hat on, I want to sort of tell you what the sort of deliverables are, because many of us will use Twitter as a CPD portal. So we're going to explore how to consider Twitter as a platform for providing evidence-supported resources for teachers. We'll hopefully have a clear understanding of the benefits of Twitter and think about the difference between personal and professional conduct of teachers on Twitter as well. You know, lots of people worry about, you know, children finding them and their students finding them, all this sort of thing. And you can have a private or a public account on Twitter, but I would always argue that actually, you know, you should really just go for a public account, because you're not going to say anything that's going to, you know, well, you may feel compelled to, but you shouldn't say anything untoward that would draw negative attention to yourself and or the profession. But that goes to teacher standards anyway. And a general rule of thumb would be, you know, don't say anything that you wouldn't be prepared to say to, well, I share about, you know, your head teacher or your chair of governors, but actually, if, you know, don't put things on there you wouldn't say to your mum. It's often a good way to sort of think about these things. So who uses Twitter? Well, loads of people do use Twitter. I certainly do use it a lot. It isn't just me. Here's my Twitter profile. I've been on Twitter for quite some time, and I've got a few followers, as you can see. And there are some things about my profile which I'm going to dig into about what makes a good profile a bit later on. But it's such a fantastic place. I definitely wouldn't be able to do the work I do now, and people certainly wouldn't know about the work that I do either if it wasn't for how I've engaged with teachers right throughout, well, not throughout my profession, because it wasn't around when I first started teaching. I'm that old. But since I joined, it's been a fantastic place. And I always talk about every day being a learning day. And certainly where I learn most things is through connecting and sharing and learning from and with the amazing members of my professional learning network. So why should you be using Twitter as a teacher? Well, there are a whole bunch of reasons why I think that should be the case. And I made this little infographic here, and I'm going to use this infographic later on in the sort of live demo of setting up my own Twitter account and things as well. But there are many compelling reasons. One is so you can develop a professional learning network. I'll always remember I was working at a school in Amsterdam, Zena, and I was just about to get on the plane, and a friend of mine, who's a teacher, obviously, contacted me to say to me that someone in their art department had been in a road traffic accident and was going to be off school for quite some time. And they were the only art teacher in the school. And they were having to get supply and cover him, but they didn't really know who, what to do, the resources and the lesson plans and all these different things. Could I help? So I was just getting on the plane, so I didn't have much time to do it. But I tagged in some people like Pete Jones, Peccabello, and Joe Baker, Joe Baker 9, and a few other art teachers that I know before and tweeted them, could you help this person? Got on the plane, put it on flight mode. It's quite a short flight over to Schiphol, about an hour. I got off the plane, collected my baggage. I thought, oh, I'll turn my phone on, and turn my phone on. And in the time it had taken me to go there, so about an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops. In that time, the people I'd tagged in had not only shared it to their friends who teach art and run art departments and all the rest of it, but they'd all sort of fed in. They'd shared schemes of work, lesson plan resources, websites, Pinterest boards with resources for inspiring children in art education, so much stuff. And that really is the power of a strong professional learning network. When you take the time to connect with other educators and build that framework of friendships. And sometimes it goes beyond the actual Twitter world, attending teach meets and other events and connecting with people. It's that weird thing where, you're like, and it would be hi Zena. It'd be like, hey, Zinlos Zena, because people by their Twitter handles rather than you actually know their own names. I'm sure you've had that experience yourself. But having a strong professional learning network is worth its weight in vibranium, I would say, rather than gold, because it's so helpful. I talk about Twitter as being like Google for Google search for teachers, because if you do a search for something on Google, you'll find some TES resources and all the rest of it. But if you ask the same question on Twitter, if you've got a good professional learning network, the amount of resources you get back are contextual. You'll get help around it, offers of support, all that sort of thing, and a real wrapper of care. And we've seen that hugely during the pandemic, and it's a great reflection of what a brilliant career education is to be in. So first thing is to sort of really strongly suggest developing your professional learning network, and I'll share ways that you can do that a little bit later on. It also gives you access to a whole plethora of resources. It could be around leadership, it could be around digital strategy, it could be around schemes of work, the Lit Drive initiative developed by Kat Howard and others around Team English. Has been a great example of the ways in which teachers can come together and share resources in a really powerful way, which ultimately reduces workload, it develops relationships, it improves your ability to connect with others to do things like standardization and moderation. There are loads of ways in which you can do that, and there's loads of inspiration as well. I never thought of using, something in this particular way, and teachers are great at sharing. And there are many teachers that you can follow who will help you with those sorts of things. It also helps keep you abreast of what's happening in education. With all of the updates that come out from DfE, and it's been I want to use the word great, but I'll use the word interesting instead to see Gavin Williamson getting a grilling today. And we learn about these things far quicker through using Twitter than we do from looking at our news outlets and all these things. So it's a great way to keep on top of latest thinking around resources, and many people, school leaders, teachers, middle leaders, will often share their sort of insights and summaries into what are often quite huge documents, things to be mindful of, and the issues they've had with them and all that sort of thing. And again, it's whether it's learning, leadership, your subject phase, there are hundreds of thousands of teachers just like you sharing and learning the latest ideas wherever you're based. On top of that, it's great to have the opportunity to have some professional dialogue. Whilst the staff room's a nice place, we don't get to visit it at all really at the moment. But even under normal circumstances, we're so time poor as a profession. Getting into the staff room to have those professional conversations about the latest update to whatever it is not an easy thing to do. And so it gives you that place to have a professional dialogue with like-minded educators. And going back to that initial idea of developing your PLN, your professional learning network, it's super helpful to have those people to sort of be able to tap into and to get ideas and help and support from. And sometimes it's actually, an ear to bend or a shoulder to cry on, and all these different things actually do happen when you connect and have a strong professional learning network. So there are many reasons. And as you can tell, I'm probably preaching to the choir for some of you, but I'm definitely an advocate for it myself. So how can Twitter support professional learning? Well, professional learning is something that I remember Jim Smith, the author of The Lazy Teacher's Handbook, a fellow ITL associate. He's an old colleague of mine. He's now head of school at Clevedon School, one of my old schools where I worked at. And he said to me, I should really sort of step outside my comfort zone and try and find some professional learning for myself. I was at a stage in my career where I was being supported by the school and things, but why wait until you can get permission to go on a course somewhere before you can start learning about these things? Why not just actually engage and do it by yourself? And teachers have been doing it for themselves for a very long time now through things such as social media, Twitter. Instagram's good as well. There's some great Facebook pages too. But for me, Twitter is the best place for connecting with and learning from and with other educators. So how can we use it to support professional learning? Well, there are many ways that we can do that. So one way of doing it is by sort of standing on the shoulders of giants, following those people we know that are sharing great resources and ideas. Sometimes we don't really know where to go to find those sorts of people, though. So I've got some resources I'm going to share shortly that have got some great, the posh lists, basically, Zena, that people can use as a starting point to find some people to sort of connect with to help develop their professional learning network. But when it comes to Twitter and whether it's useful and things, I did some work with the University of Worcester this year and last year, and I thought I'd try and prove the point by asking the question myself on Twitter. So I asked this question: what do you perceive as being the benefits of using Twitter as a trainee teacher or a school leader? And the results I got back, and you can look this up yourself if you want to, UWPGCE19, the hashtag. And I had hundreds of people respond. I did the same session with this year's cohort as well. There's a change on the hashtag there, UWPGCE20. Same question, but again, hundreds of responses. So there's the hashtag for you just there in case you missed it, so you can search that out afterwards. But I got so many responses, it was quite difficult to find them. So I used the tool Wakelet to bring all of those responses together into one place and space. And this is the Wakelet that I created here. There were so many responses, and Wakelet is a great way of curating lots of tweets together into one place. We won't have time to learn how to use Wakelet today, but if you look on hashtag Wakelet Wave, then there are lots of examples of how you can use Wakelet and support options and training, free training in how to use it.
1 second.
Yep.
I'm trying to type in the chat here with the hashtag, but I can't find hashtag on my Apple keyboard.
On the Mac, option and 4.
Option. Where's option?
Next to the command button.
Option and 4. Okay, let's have a look. No. That's alt.
So you've got your space bar, Zena, then command, then option, yeah?
I've got space bar, command, and alt.
Okay, well, alt is option. So press alt and 4, and it should give you the hashtag symbol.
No, it's not. Try
command and 4 instead.
Command and 4. Command and 4. No. Control and 4. No. Never mind.
I'll try myself. When I'm out of here, I'll show you, Zena. Okay. I can't remember if it's option or command, but it might be that the interface doesn't allow for the hash symbol, so that's sometimes a thing.
No worries.
So anyway, it's all right. On the Wakelet, though, I've curated all the tweets together, and what I've done just here is bring through some of the responses I had. So for me, Twitter provides a platform for teachers to debate, share, connect, gain emotional support, and build global professional learning communities. It's a place where I've met some truly inspirational and generous individuals. I'm not going to read all of these out because there's quite a few, but the next one does say, I found 2 of my 3 jobs through Twitter. Great platform and learn loads of new stuff. Applied many things I've seen on Twitter in my own class that have made it even better. Russell Smart, deputy head, I believe, at King's Al Barsha in Dubai. For me, Twitter has been a sort of inspiration in so many areas. I'm able to share good classroom practice with my team, as well as celebrate their own classroom practice with others. As a leader, I've gained an insight into other schools, as well as CPD opportunities with reading. And there are so many amazing bits of feedback there, including one there from co-host Bookie as well. I like Bookie's comment, actually. He said, generally, there's no hierarchy. It doesn't matter whether you're a teacher or a CEO or whatever. You can talk to anybody more easily than you might do in real life. And it's a fantastic platform for professional development, networking opportunities. And there are so many wonderful educators that actively support each other. So it's not just, Mark Anderson saying get on Twitter. It is, hugely popular and used by, I say, hundreds of thousands of teachers the world over. By no means are most teachers on Twitter, though. It's still a relatively proportional small amount, although we have seen a huge rise in the number of people on Twitter during the pandemic as a place to come towards and to pick up these ideas and things like I'm sharing about. But it is absolutely fantastic. So I said I'd share some ideas on who to follow. I may make a few resources. This is one of my resources, the periodic table of people to follow on Twitter. And while some of the photos of these people may have changed since I made this, they're all good people to follow in education. And you can find that on my website. Just go and just use the search feature and just search for periodic table and tweeters and or Twitter, and you'll find that there. And in fact, Nina Jackson, who's joining us this evening in the chat, she's actually in the top right-hand corner there as Music Mind on Twitter. I made other ones as well. I made some sort of sector-specific ones. Here's one for people to follow in FE. So if you're looking for people to follow in further education, again, some great people to see and find out about who share great stuff on a regular basis there too. But as I said, it's not just me making these things. This is one that was made by Tom Rogers. He's Rogers History on Twitter. You won't be able to see all of that, so let's just take a quick zoom in for a second. So you've got bloggers, authors, people with opinions and commentary. You've got some subject-specific ones here: English, science, art. There, if you can see my mouse, you can't see it yet because it's not come up. Let's try and get it going up. Okay, that's not working. Never mind. Joe Bacon 9 is there just next to Kerry Edwards, Teacher Glitter. But you got people from history, science, people who share podcasts, resource hubs, math teachers, geography teachers, so forth and so on. So lots and lots of great people to follow on Twitter in that resource there by Tom Rogers as well. It's a great place to find evidence-informed and evidence-supported resources as well. The Education Endowment Foundation, for example, is a great follow. They regularly share great advice based and grounded in their research and the research of others. And they've been really good in this lockdown with sharing things to support remote education and home learning, for example. And they share things about research trials, things you can get involved in as a school as well. And there's loads of opportunities for professional learning around all of this stuff shared by the EAF as well. Here's a tweet from Mark Enser, for example. And hashtags are really useful too. I mean, I've mentioned a few already, and I'm going to dig in deeper to those things in a little while and share a resource created by Hannah Tyman from the Chartered College, which Jill Berry shared with me earlier, which is really useful and saved me a job actually, because I was going to make one myself, but she's done a good job in bringing them together. So I think I'll just leave it to the one that she's already created. But organizations, again, like Research Ed, again, a grassroots organization started and engaged with by people on Twitter, started by Ellen Galdan O'Shea alongside Tom Bennett, and is a huge organization where, there we go. It's always good to get a FaceTime from your children during the show. Let me just sort that out for a second. Thank you very much to my two lovely children. So yeah, Research Ed is fantastic.
Well, Nina sent me a message and we've got the hashtag sorted.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Just going to fix this a second. That's the theme tune that I made with my own children on Horrid Henry. It's not actually Horrid Henry. It's made in GarageBand, that is, but we use that as our ringtone. Nothing like a live session to keep you on your toes. So Research Ed's a great follow, and their events, which have been taken online this year, have been really good. And their YouTube channel has got loads of great teaching and learning and research-informed things you can find on there as well. But you'll find out all about all this stuff through their Twitter account. There's things that we do, like UK Edu Stories. Here you can see a screenshot from a session previously with Action Jackson and Ida Fisher and Graham Andre, and Bookie's there, and Nina's on there as well. We've got Howell Roberts. So some fantastic opportunities through things such as this show as well. Publishers put things together as well. This is a show with Tom Sherrington and Emma Turner called Mind the Gap, supported by the publishers, John Catt. And there are some, again, great grassroots movements as well, such as Women Ed, a fantastic place for getting support about how to move into leadership, and a great network of supportive educators coming together there. And don't think, whilst it is Women Ed, don't just think it's just for women. Men are very much welcome to be involved and engaged with. And one of my highlights of the last few years was the Women Ed event I attended at Lady Grundy's school up in Birmingham for the Women Ed Midlands event. It was absolutely brilliant, and met some fantastic people there. So lots and lots of things around areas that can support you with your professional development and your professional learning, and the way that you want to do things in your career. But like any social media platform, there are some dangers and things to watch out for. Some people are inappropriate, more often than not, towards women on social media as well. So that's why some teachers have created the Safe Space, the Safe Space UK _, which is a social media account which helps support women who've received inappropriate behaviour towards them from others, particularly, as you can see there, on Edu Twitter, by Women for Women. And I fully endorse that as a social media account to follow and engage with, and just to help, you've got a source beyond reporting people on Twitter, should you need to do those sorts of things. So it can sometimes feel like a bit of an echo chamber on Twitter, but I'm not going to go into any of that sort of detail now. And I think with me having done just that, Zena, what I think may well have just happened is it's all gone black on the screen sharing. Am I right?
Yes.
It's almost like it's happened before. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop running through that presentation for a moment. I want to talk to you about how to sort of get yourself sorted with a Twitter account when you're sort of starting from scratch. So I'm going to reshare my screen now, and I'm going to jump onto Twitter itself. So what I did before the show, I went on to Twitter, and forgive me scooping around screens. Right, I'm in the right place now. Sorry about that, if I made you feel dizzy. I created this account here, Tip Top Tips Edu. Now, if somebody was to see this account, now I have at least put a little picture in there, and all I did was get my little memoji from my phone and pop the image up there. And I know I've got some followers because I've actually put a shout out and said follow me a bit. So I have got some followers here already. Thank you very much. I'm liking my follower to followee ratio at the moment. So I'm following nobody, and I've got a whole bunch of followers. That doesn't happen very often, does it? What I want to sort of share about is a great way to go about making a good profile for yourself. Now, I want at this point do a shout out for former UK Edu Stories guest, Simon Johnson, who is CLC Simon on Twitter. He made this infographic quite some time ago, and it's a teacher's guide to becoming a Twitter all-star. And he shares lots of things like show your human side, use edu hashtags, follow back, put a profile picture on, update your bio info, be kind, be polite, all these different things. And I'll use that on one of my tweets in just a moment when I first start using the Tip Top Tips Edu account. But if you want teachers to engage with you, quite rightly, I think, teachers can be quite untrusting because when it comes to following people, you want to make sure that people have got genuine accounts. And so there are ways in which you can actually help to make your account be more genuine. So if I go to edit profile just here, and you'll see all this stuff when you get your Twitter account first set up. It might be you have already got your account set up and you're thinking about, well, how can I get some more followers? So a good way of doing this is to have a good Twitter profile. So as you can see, I've put a photo up there. It doesn't have to be a picture of yourself. It could be something like this. I mean, it's a sort of a facsimile of how I look, although I'm not wearing my glasses this evening. I was just looking for them for a second. You'll probably tell me in a moment, Zena, that they're on my head. I know they're not really there. But to change your profile, you simply go to where it says Edit Profile, just here. And you can put things in. So I'm going to drop in a photo as my banner image, which is going to sort of reflect the sort of thing that I wanted to from me. Some people, I think, like Zena, you've got a nice meme with a quote which sort of goes to your values, I think, on yours. There are lots of ways in which you can use an image to go onto your banner, which sort of reflects who you are, what you do, all those sort of things. So in preparation for tonight, if I go into here, we should see a photo of me. There we go. That's me presenting somewhere, Dubai College, I think, to staff there. So I'll choose that image, I'll hit apply, and that's now my banner image at the top. A key way in which, though, you can make help teachers and others know who you are and what you do is through your bio, because Mark, in and of itself, isn't really that helpful. So I'm going to put in here, former teacher, SLT, looking to connect with other teachers to help me learn more, share my ideas and thoughts on education. Now, you've got 160 character space there. So now I know some hashtags that are relevant to me. So what I might do is I might put in things like, and it's option 3, Zena, by the way. I gave you the wrong key there. It's option 3 for the hashtag.
Don't worry, Nina came to the
I'm interested. Sorry?
Nina saved the day. She sent me a message via Twitter and said, "Is this something?"
I couldn't. I knew it was something like that, but I couldn't check it out while I was in the middle of the presentation. And I knew if I stopped it to check it, it would go black screen again. And I just didn't want that. So yeah, hashtag EdTech, hashtag Edu Twitter. And I'll put in tip top tips edu. There we go, almost at 160 characters. You can choose to have your location on if you want to. You can type it in. So I'll just put Bristol, that's near to where I live. And I've got a website, so I'm just going to choose my ittevangelist.com address there. My birthday's there. Please take a note because gifts, presents, all those things are always very welcome. Thank you very much. And I hit save. And I've now got a much more educationally friendly profile that's going to be much more engaging. If somebody wants, if I sort of connect with somebody and want to sort of get them to follow me and all these sort of things, then it's a great way of actually making it really clear who you are, what you do, and all those sorts of things. So engaging in a tweet and getting engagement with other people. I've got 12 followers. I'm really lucky to have 12 followers, but I'm not following anybody. But I do want to ask a question. So I'm going to write my tweet, and I'm going to say, I'm looking to get some ideas on how to use Twitter as a teacher. Can you help? Now, if I hit tweet right now, yes, I've got 12 followers, but I'm not really going to get many responses. Okay, so there are a variety of ways in which we can extend our reach to those people that we want to engage with and all the rest of it. So what I can do is I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to use some hashtags. Now, a hashtag means that if anybody else is looking at that particular hashtag, they will see your tweet regardless of whether they follow you. So if somebody was looking on UK Edu Stories, for example, they would see, once I've tweeted this particular tweet, regardless of whether they follow me. I can also sort of uplift it by putting more hashtags in. So I can put in Edu Twitter. I can put in EdChat. It's UK EdChat this evening as well. I might also want to put in some more specific ones linked to education. So I could put in What else could I use? Tiny Voice Talks. This is a Tuesday morning initiative created by Toria Bono, which looks to support teachers who are new to Twitter, who've got a tiny voice because they've got no followers like me, or if only a very few followers like me, and can connect them on that sort of way there. So that's one way of extending and connecting with people such as those you mentioned, or I mentioned.
Can you explain hashtags a bit more?
Sure. In what way?
So how do they actually work? So you're putting all these hashtags in. Do people actually search for those particular hashtags? Is that how you get more reach? You know,
yes.
What is this about?
Yeah, once I've finished this bit, Zena, I will use this particular tweet to demonstrate that. I can't actually show it yet, though, because I haven't tweeted it and I'm in the middle of doing the tweet. But I will do it in just a moment. Okay. Now, tweets that have, GIFs are amazing. Okay. But there's a thing you can do with images once you've got your image in that can really help you. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put a little infographic that I've made onto this particular tweet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump back to my presentation for a second. I'm not going to take Simon's, that's not his, and I haven't sought permission. But I am just going to grab a quick screenshot of this particular, and I don't want that red line under there, so I'm just going to do this to learn the spelling to get rid of the red line. Did you know you could do that? If you make the spelling get learned, it removes the red line. So grab a little screenshot like so, jump back to here, and I'm going to drop that image in really quickly. That's another thing you can do as well. You can copy and paste images directly into your tweets in Twitter if you're doing it in browser. So now what I'm going to do to extend the reach even further is I'm going to go to where it says tag people. Now these people aren't actually in my PLN yet, but I know them already. So I'm hoping that Zenonos, there we go. I'm going to tag in Music Mind because I know Nina's getting involved this evening. I'm going to tag in the Education Endowment Foundation. That's not them. Okay, that's not going to find them at all. Let's see if Eve does it. There they go. Okay, so I've got them in there, and I can do Gary Henderson. And there he is, Gary Henderson, like so. And I can keep going. Now, I'm not currently following these people, but they do allow for themselves to be tagged in photos. So again, if you're looking, if you've seen these people, even if you don't really know them that well, you know, I don't mind people tagging me in a photo to help them if they need help with a question or something, when they run out of space in their tweets and all these different things. It's a way of extending the reach and making sure that you you get someone to actually see your tweet. Alternatively, you can actually mention people. So I could go in here and perhaps put in, like, you know, people who've got big followings, like Teacher Toolkit, who's got, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers. He's got so many followers out, and he probably won't have time to do that. So let's just put in someone I saw on the table that I shared with you, Kerry Edwards. So there's hers, and I now tweet it, and out it goes. Now, all those people will now get a notification that they've been tagged in a tweet, and Kerry Edwen will get the notification because I've put her in the actual tweet as well. Now, Zena, you asked a question about hashtags and how they work. So I can either go to search Twitter in the top right-hand corner, or I can click on them when I see them in a tweet. So let's say I want to find some good people to follow. So Tiny Voice Talks is a great place for educators to go and find people to connect with. So if I click on the hashtag, what it will now do, Zena, is it will bring up lots of people linked to that particular hashtag. And all of these tweets we can see in front of us here now all have that particular hashtag on. If you hover over somebody, it will give you a little summary so you can actually see their profile, you can see their picture. And this is why having a strong profile is important. Okay. Oh, I'm studying for an NPQSL. Boom, I'll follow Adam James, so forth and so on. So you can just really connect with those people that have those interesting and relevant things. It might be you're a primary school teacher. So Primary Rocks, for example, is a great hashtag for primary teachers. They have a weekly live chat all these sorts of things. They're doing on January 18th, live lessons. It's a great way of not only finding out what people are thinking about. I mean, it's one question here. First thing, I'm looking for ideas about live lessons, recorded lessons, or whatever. 54 responses straight away. This is why this is so much better than a Google search. How to do a good online lesson. Well, you could get 101 blog posts, but how authentic is this with all these different amazing bits of feedback and resources? Look at Hazel Pinner's responses here. Great ways to learn from lots of other people who are there right at the chalk face doing the thing. Here's a great question. Is the OCR any good? I've been using YouTube to create my art lessons, and then again, replies from people who are answering the question. And it's just a great way of bringing everyone together. And this is why I talk about it being the best staff room in the world, because we can see straight away directly the impact of engaging. And I'm following nobody currently, and I've picked up a few followers because I tweeted about it. So has that answered your question about hashtags, Zena?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant stuff. Now, over time, you will end up following a whole ton of people. If I look at my Twitter account, I'm following something like 5,000 people. Now, if I go to my home button here, I'd normally see all the tweets of people that I'm following, but it's a real signal versus noise thing, Zena. There's so much information, so many people tweeting, so much stuff going through, you can often miss stuff. Now, a lot of people aren't aware of the feature of lists on Twitter. Now, lists are really, really useful and helpful. And I'm going to show you how we can use lists. How much time we got left? Good. I'm going to show you how we can use lists as a way of sort of sorting the wheat from the chaff a little bit. So what I'm going to do, Zena, can you give me somebody with your sort of relational leadership and restorative practice, could you give me 5 people that I should be following around that particular topical area?
Yeah, Mark Finnis from L30 Relational Systems.
Right, so don't go too fast. Hang on, Mark Finnis, there he is. So I'm going to go to Mark Finnis. Oh, hang on, I'm getting a new message to him. That's the wrong thing to do. Hang on, search Twitter. Mark Finnis. I don't want to tweet Mark Finnis. I want to follow Mark Finnis. There he is. I'm going to follow him. Right, actually, Howell's pretty good. And can you see the algorithm already starting to suggest good people to follow?
Him is as well.
Who, sorry?
Paul, that's underneath. That one.
Paul Moran. Yeah, very good.
Carl Poupe.
There he is, Action Hero Teach. Great. So now I've got a few people that I'm following, and you don't actually have to do what I'm going to do now with people you've already followed, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to these 3 little dots here, and you can do what I'm doing now by going to lists on the side if you want to and starting there from scratch if you want to, but I'm just going to go to the 3 little dots here, and I'm going to go add, remove from lists. Now, what I can do now is I can group. Oh, I see, I need to create a list first. I knew something would go wrong. Let's go into lists and start from scratch and go to create a list just here. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put relational and restorative. Actually, I won't have no space for that. So I'll put relational leadership like so. Now, you can put an image in at the top if you want to, and you'd have to upload an image for that. So I'm not going to do that right now. You can put a description in, and you can also make your lists private. But when you have got lots of people you're following, the benefit of having a list is what it will do. Once you put a few people, and it's giving me it's already suggesting some people to follow and things here. So I don't know who Dr. Liza is, but let's just add them. And let's go to Rob Thompson and add them. And what I'm going to do now that I've made that, I'm going to hit done. We've got 2 people on the list already. And you can see that what it does is it starts creating a digest of those people's tweets. So if I just go back now to my profile, and I'm going to go to who I'm following. I'm just going to go on to Paul, and I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to add Paul to my list. Save. Paul's now on my list. I'm going to go to Patrick, and I'm going to add Patrick to my list. Okay, and you can see Patrick's got some lists that he's using himself as well for asset, SLT chat collaborators, all that sort of thing. I'll get onto that in just a moment, but I want to add him to my list. Relational leadership, save. So the beauty of this is when you are following loads and loads and loads of people, Rather than seeing all the tweets by everybody all the time in your home section, Zena, go to lists, click on your list, and then it gives you a digest of all of their tweets. So you can see them, and it sort of sorts the wheat from the chaff a little bit, so that you're able to see things that are relevant to the things you're searching for. So, for example, if I was to find myself with my main account here, go onto the three dots and choose View Lists, you can see lists that I've generated. So I do another show, as you know, Learn Live UAE. So I go onto Learn Live UAE Guests. I can follow that list without having to do anything. Already I've got a list of people who live and work and teach in the Middle East. I can go through and see their tweets all in one place and space. And what I can also do, if I just come back to the top, is I can go to here where I can tweet this and share it in other ways. And I can also follow the list as well. And if I choose to follow that list, it then becomes just another list in my digest that I can then just click onto to help me do that. So we saw with Patrick, for example, he had some lists. One of those was SLT chat contributors, those sorts of things. So, yeah, I think lists are a hugely underutilized thing on Twitter.
Can you
sorry?
Can you follow other people's lists?
Yeah, that's exactly what I've done. I've just followed the ICT Evangelist Learn Live UAE guests list. Yeah. So if I just choose, let's just choose someone else. So Carl Poupet, let's go to Carl. I'm going to go on here. I'm going to go View Lists, and that will show me Carl's lists. So he's got one of his own called A Tribe Called Questions, and he's following, and he's got great citizens of Twitter and SME people to follow. So that's interesting to me. So I'm going to go onto here, and I can click on follow just here, and I'm now following that list, and that adds that, Zena, to my list of lists.
I love this. That's brilliant. I don't use lists personally. I didn't really. So it just goes to show how much I'm still learning about Twitter. This is really useful. Thank you.
So what I'm hoping now, thank you, Zena, you're very welcome. What I'm hoping for now is, and I'm very hopeful because I've tagged a few people in, and I'm actually broadcasting live through an account which has got quite a few followers as well. So hopefully it will have worked. So what I'm going to do now is, you've replied saying this is a test. And we can see that Nina's been taking screenshots, and there's loads of stuff going on. But what I'm most keen on, I'm just going to go to my profile a second, and I'm going to click onto here, and I can see, brilliant, you've got Sarah's replied and done a smiley face. Thank you, Sarah. That's great. I'm just going to follow you. Fantastic. And well, she follows me already. Brilliant stuff. Someone here called Zena. Okay, I'll give you a follow back. There you go. Okay. So great initiatives, great things, and by tagging people in, I will get more and more and more responses from that. Something which is quite fine to do in a tweet as well is just to write, please retweet. If you haven't got many followers and you're looking for engagement, just ask for a retweet. If you're running short on space, please, or PLS and then RT is perfectly acceptable sort of abbreviated speak. And that's the way to do it. So I want to share one more thing this evening before we wrap up and I deal with any sort of questions. I was talking with Jill Berry. I'll give her a follow as well. Look, I was talking with Jill Berry earlier, and she was commenting about Twitter, and she shared a resource of mine, and I'll jump into her tweets and replies because I think I'll see it in there. And just scroll through a little bit. She's been tweeting a bit. Keep going. What's this here? Naila's Natter. Crikey, she's been tweeting a lot since I last spoke to her. It was really recent as well. Okay, so yeah, she commented on tonight's session. Yes. Okay, sure. And what was it? No, it was another one she did as well. Keep going. Crikey, I should have actually. Here we go. I have been plugging Twitter for education, learning, and networking in recent online events. Now, there's a surprise. Like me, Jill is a huge advocate and champion for Edu Twitter. Twitter newbies, do have a look at this from ICT Evangelist. And I've got a post here, how Twitter can support professional development and learning. I'll open that in a new tab, and I'll jump onto there in just a second. But we mentioned hashtags before, didn't we, Zena? Hannah Simon, she hover over there. She's head of online learning and community at the Chartered College, and you can see her profile just there. But she's created this resource here, which is Twitter chats, and a great way to connect. I mean, I showed Primary Rocks before, but there are lots and lots of Twitter chats that take place on Twitter that you can engage with, and lots of them are subject and sector specific. So if I open this link here by clicking on it, what will happen will be the PDF will load, and you'll see the infographic that Hannah has made. She's color coordinated, so general chats or chats for a specific audience or subject chats. And you can see the things that happen. So on a Monday, Primary Rocks that I mentioned, and we've got Behaviour Chat at 8 p.m. We've got ASE Chat, that's the Association of Science Educators. And we've got ENG Chat, which is for English teachers, UK PE Chat. You can guess where this is going, RE Chat. It also lists the frequency in which these things take place as well. So this is a great little resource shared by Hannah Timon. And I'll signpost that with a little retweet in a moment to be easy to find, because it'll be on the Tip Top Tips Edu Twitter account. And that's another great way of connecting with people as well, Zena, is not just putting stuff out there about what you're interested about, asking for help yourself, but when you find some good stuff, share it yourself, put it out there, and give it a nice retweet. So this is a lovely little resource made by Hannah. It's got lots of different chats take place on different days of the week. So UK Ed Chat, for example, takes place directly after UK Edu Stories. Has been going for very long. It's probably one of the longest lasting Twitter chats in the world, and is a great place to go for all things teaching and learning, leadership, and more. And there are blog posts out there as well. Jill shared the one that I wrote. Other people have written things as well. And on this post here, you can see that guide from Simon. I did get his permission to do this. There's ideas for the classroom. There's Kerry, I mentioned earlier. That's why I popped her into the presentation this evening, because I know she shares great things, particularly around literacy and primary education. And so lots of great people to follow, and lots of ideas and things and whatnot. There's the Wakelet that I curated here, for example, embedded in there too. Lots of things there as resources to help you. Now, one last thing to talk about is the likes thing. I strongly recommend, when you see something that you like, okay, because I see stuff and then I forget to like it, and then an hour later I'm like, oh, where was that thing I saw from Jill Barrett? And then, like I did then, for example, I should have liked that tweet before the show, shouldn't I? Because then what I can do, see really quickly, if I like it now, I jump to my profile, I can go to my likes, and it's just a really simple way of bookmarking things. It's nice that people recognize that you like what they've done. If you really like it, give it a retweet so you can share it further and beyond the scope of your own just their account and things. But the likes, I see those as being far more useful for sort of curating things for you to look back again at later. Because again, teachers who are time poor, you see something quickly just scrolling through, oh, I like that. And then it leaves it there then, Zena, so you can go back to it at a later time so that you can look at it at a time that's more appropriate for you to dig deeper into it. So I hope sorry, Zena, what was that?
I was just practicing some stuff as you were talking, and I was like, why can't I find that like button? So just remember, it's go to profile first, and then you'll find the tab with the likes. Okay, fab. Yes. Thank you.
One last thing. People might be thinking, why is Mark's Twitter this color? I like I'm not colorblind or anything like that, but I do find it gives me less eye strain when I have a sort of a night or a dark mode. If you go, and you can do the same in the Twitter app on your phone as well, okay? But if you go into where it says more, you'll see an option there which says display. And in display, you can choose whether you want it the default bright. And look how much brighter that is now. If I just come out of here for a second, look at whoa, my eyes, my retinas are getting burned out. So if I go back to display, you can choose to have it dim, like I had it, or lights out, which is even darker again. I'd prefer dim. And then you can choose the color, which sort of sits and looks nicely for you. So I like the yellow, orangey yellow like that. And if you are getting a bit long in the tooth like me, you can make if you prefer it nice and small because you can read that and you want to fit more on your screen, then go for the small, but you can increase the font size really easily as well. So it's great for accessibility too. So there are lots and lots of things you can do, more than what I've shown you today. But as an introduction to Twitter, I've shared some hashtags. Tiny Voice Talks, that's one that happens on a Tuesday morning. Engage with that. I do want to, before we wrap up, just cover a thing about following back. Now, there is a hashtag which is hugely popular, FFB Wednesday. Okay, and it's a thing that happens every Wednesday morning, and it's follow back. And the idea is you look at the hashtag, and there are people there that you would like to follow back. And the person who started the hashtag is at Deputy Grocott, and this is the idea behind it. So you like and retweet his initial tweet, you comment below with an educational bio, and don't forget the hashtag, and then follow people and follow back. And this is a great intro. Okay, and you can see it's hugely popular. This is just from Wednesday this week. 688 likes, 50 quote tweets, 335 retweets. It's clearly very, very popular in education. But the thing I would say to you is just doing that alone is not enough to get engagement. Having loads of people following you on Twitter, it might make you feel popular, it might make you feel good, and it is nice to find someone who's followed you and all these different things. But the way that you make it work is by developing and fostering that relationship that you have with people. Just like relationships in real life are really important, that's why we do focus on the idea of meet and greets at the classroom when children come in, and we do that and we translate that into what we do in our online sessions. But it's those relationships, it's the time you take to respond to others, to help others, support others, share things yourself, all those different things which help make you be someone who has got an authentic professional learning network. And when it comes to then later on in the future, perhaps when you're jumping on a plane and need to help somebody who's sorting out their art department, sort of bringing things full circle to the start of the conversation this evening, it means that those people are far more likely to jump in and get involved and help you and support you because you've done the same thing for them many, many times before. Because those strong relationships, and it goes back to like the most impactful strategy that John Hattie has highlighted, Zena, which is collective teacher efficacy. Yeah, I always share education is a force for good and there's far more that unites us than divides us. And when we use social media platform in the ways I've been sharing this evening, then you're much more likely to get authentic engagement. People will engage in what you share. When you ask a question, you'll get answers, and it will help you when you're stuck far more than a Google search ever would, because you're dealing with people and not algorithms and search parameters. So loads and loads of stuff shared in the show this evening. I hope you found it useful. Were there any questions from anybody, Zena, that you wanted to bring through?
No, but lots of people have said how fabulous this has been and how really useful and helpful this session has been. So I, for one, have found it really helpful. So thank you. And I know what you're going to be like. You'll notice I'll be doing things and you'll go, yep, she learned that tonight.
Even if it's just the list thing, for example, when you do end up following like tons and tons of people, it's you want to engage with people, but it's difficult when there are so many people there. And lists for me are a great way of getting like a little digest version of what's going on and seeing what's occurring in the niches that I'm particularly interested in and looking at, for example. So yeah. Hopefully you found it useful, and looking forward to our episode next week. Next week, we have got some special guests on the show. We've got Carl Ward, who's the CEO of the FED, Foundation for Educational Development. And I won't sort of steal the thunder away from that. We've got two trustee members of the FED coming on as well. You may not know this, but it's 150th year of state education in the United Kingdom, and the idea of the Federation for Educational Development is looking at creating a roadmap. Gavin Williamson, you may want to attend and pick up a few ideas. for what education in the future in England should look like. That is their remit. So we're going to be sharing ideas. And if you've got thoughts about what education should look like in the future, please do come along and join us and share your thoughts and ideas on the show next week. In our next episode, as always, 7 till 8 p.m. on UK Edu Stories. Thank you so much, Zena, for coming in and being my amazing support.
Your magician's assistant.
I wasn't.
I am. That's how I am.
I wasn't going to say drama at all, because what you do, Zena, is so useful and helpful, because actually you help support the questions and you bring ideas and you know, I couldn't do it with you. And as we saw last week on the show, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have even had a show last week when I managed to mess things up with my connections and everything. So thank you for all you're doing to support, and I hope you found the show useful tonight, everybody. Thank you for all the engagement in the chat as well. And until next Thursday evening, 7 to 8 p.m., with an exploration thinking about the how we can shape education in England for the next 150 years. That's us over and out for another week. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.